Hey everyone, my name is Joshua Karasak. I'm a winemaking specialist with Enartis USA, and in this video we're going to talk about smoke taint remediation for white winemaking. So when we have a wildfire near a vineyard, the smoke that comes from that wildfire can detrimentally affect the fruit quality. The vine will absorb smoke from the environment, and the compounds that it absorbs through the leaves and through the fruit are attached to a sugar. They're glycosylated. So we have these sugar-bound smoke compounds in the vine itself. The vine then translocates those smoke compounds with the sugar attached to it into the fruit, where the compounds will be inside of the skins primarily, but some of it will be inside of the juice and pulp as well. So this is a really hard situation to work with because winemakers basically have fruit that has smoke that's embedded inside of the fruit itself. So we have two fractions that we're really concerned with as far as smoke impacted fruit. We have a free fraction, which is these volatile smoke compounds that we have inside the resulting wine. Those compounds are aromatic and have a flavor impact on the wine. Typically it's an ashtray or sort of a smoky bacon kind of aroma or flavor, and it tends to be pretty detrimental to the wine quality. The free fraction is a little bit more easily removed and treated through fining or other means. So it is good for the reason that you can actually treat it, but it is the most detrimental in terms of the aromas of the wine itself. Then there's the bound fraction that I mentioned, which is the glycosylated forms of these smoke compounds. This is a difficult situation because it's also detectable sensorially. These compounds, when somebody tastes a wine that has these compounds in it, the enzymes in the person's saliva or the taster's saliva can break the smoke from the sugar, and then you have this sort of retronasal or finish that has the smoky flavor in it. So the bound fraction is just as problematic from a sensory standpoint as the free fraction, and actually the bound fraction is not as easy to remove through fining or other means in wine. So it's a little bit more tricky to handle this fraction of the smoke. So pre-fermentation treatment is a distinct advantage for white grapes when it comes to smoke impact. So white wines can be dramatically improved for smoke taint if you act before fermentation. So if you avoid extraction of the compounds from the skin, that's one thing that can be really helpful, is actually preventing skin contact. So that's something that we'll go over in a little bit more detail in a moment. Settling rapidly to remove the solids will further aid in any potential leaching of smoke compounds from those solids. So quickly getting any solids before fermentation out of the juice is really important. And then utilizing juice fining agents to remove smoke compounds is also really important. And I'll talk about some options that Enartis offers for that purpose. Also, nutrients, yeast selection, and yeast polysaccharides can dramatically boost the aromas and help mask any potential volatile smoke compounds. So avoiding extraction, again, is one of the most important strategies that winemakers can use for treating whites. A whole cluster press, when possible, is going to be really beneficial because you can avoid the skin contact. You still are going to have some smoke present in the juice and in the pulp, and you will get some out with pressing. So you will still have to treat the juice if you do whole cluster press, but you're going to have significantly less of the smoke-bound fraction inside of the juice for that purpose, or for that reason. If you can sort out all leaves and material other than grapes, it's going to really help. Leaves have can have a lot of ash and smoke adsorbed to the surface that can be detrimental to the juice. So getting all of that out is really important. And also separating hard press fractions can be useful because the harder you press a white grape, the more compounds you're going to extract from the skins. Separating the hard press fractions can help because you can treat those hard press fractions a little bit more aggressively with activated carbon. And so you're treating a smaller fraction of the juice more aggressively rather than having that hard press fraction in with the other free run juice or the lesser pressed juice and having to treat it all aggressively. So separating hard press fractions is really useful as well. Here I just want to show the impact of using pectolytic enzyme as far as its increase in settling speed of juices. So here we have our Zymar S and our Easy Filter in a 2.5 hour time-lapse video. So we treated this juice with these enzymes, and I'll start the video now. You can see over the course of 2.5 hours, the ZymeRS and the Easy Filter dramatically improve the speed of clarification. And so with that, you can remove the solids from the juice much more quickly, and then you can get the juice off of those solids and prevent any further extraction of smoke from those solids. So it's a really useful strategy, and we highly recommend using a rapid pectolytic enzyme like our ZymeRS or Easy Filter. Some really important work was done in Australia in 2019 from Julie Colbert and her lab, looking at different activated carbons and treating juices to remove smoke-bound or smoke glycoconjugates. So this is looking at different kinds of activated carbons at different dosage rates. Also looking at treatment with those same activated carbons in wine as opposed to treating juice. And basically the conclusion from this study showed that the dosage of the activated carbon is very important, and the higher dosages will yield much better results for removing the sugar-bound fraction of smoke from juice. Additionally, one important factor here is that there's distinct differences between activated carbons and their efficiency at removing these glycoconjugates. So the type of activated carbon that you use is exceptionally important. So that's what drove some of the work that Enartis has done as far as creating more advanced activated carbons for treating smoke, and we'll talk more about those options for you in a couple of minutes. The other factor, or the other piece of information that came out of this study, was that it showed that treating a juice is a much better way of creating a better white wine than treating a wine, because you can remove more of the glycoconjugates when you treat a juice as compared to treating a wine. So that's an important factor to consider. Also, treating a juice rather than treating a wine is a distinct advantage because we get a lot of fermentation, aromas, and flavors out of the fermentation that if we treat the wine post-fermentation with activated carbon, you can actually remove those flavors and aromas. Whereas if you treat the juice before fermentation, you can remove those glycoconjugates, and then you can avoid having to remove any potential fermentation aromas by finding the resulting wine. So by treating the juice ahead of time, we are being more efficient at removing the glycoconjugates, and we are also preserving our fermentation aromas and flavors. So this is a very important point for winemakers to realize. So there are two options that Enartis offers for activated carbons for smoke remediation. The phenol-free is one that we have been using for the last 4 or 5 years for smoke remediation, and it works very well at removing glycoconjugates, and winemakers have been very happy with using this particular product. But there is a little bit of a challenge in removing the activated carbon prior to fermentation. So with this, we developed a new product that is an innovation for smoke-affected juices and wines, and that is the CLARIL SMK. So in the CLARIL SMK, we developed this finding agent specific for remediating smoke. So with the work that Julie Colbert and her lab did, we went looking for an activated carbon that would work even better for smoke taint remediation. And so we developed a new activated carbon for this specific purpose. Additionally, we had some extra parameters that we were looking at in developing this carbon, which is settling speed as well as its impact on phenolics and color, so that it could be used in red wines at high dosages with less impact on the color and phenolics of the wine. So this blend also has pre-activated chitosan and P protein in it, which not only aid in the settling speed of the actual activated carbon so that we can get it out before fermentation, but also helps with the removal of the smoke taint compounds as well. So CLARIL SMK is a new product that we developed specifically for smoke remediation. So when we compare the CLARIL SMK and phenol-free from a color perspective, this is a Pinot Noir juice that we treated to examine the impact on color, phenolics, and glycoside removal. So this was a smoke-affected Pinot Noir juice. And what we saw was that the CLARIL SMK was much more gentle on the color and phenolics compared to the phenol-free. While the phenol-free is still quite gentle compared to other carbons, the SMK is even more so. This is 100 grams per hectoliter dosage, which is a very high dosage of carbon. And so this is actually very good results as far as its gentleness on phenolics and color. Also, when we compare the impact on glycosides, the phenol-free is just slightly better than the SMK carbon. but the SMK carbon is very close in terms of its efficiency and is also gentle on phenolics. So this makes it a very good product. When we compare it to the control, we can see that we removed about 50% with 100 grams per hectoliter. If you increase that dosage, we'd probably see even better efficiency at removing the glycosides. When we compare the two as far as settling speeds, this is an important factor because we want to get the activated carbon out of the juice before fermentation. If we leave the activated carbon in the juice and allow it to ferment, what can happen is the convective action of the fermentation could overfine the resulting wine. You could lose some fermentation aromas from that residual carbon being in the juice. So we want to try and settle out the carbon as much as possible before fermentation begins. Here's another time-lapse video where we compared a 200 gram per hectoliter dosage of phenol-free and CLARIL SMK, and we waited 3 hours to look at the clarification speed. So I'll start the video now, and you can see over on the right-hand side, the CLARIL SMK is the one that's settling more rapidly. The phenol-free is in the center compared to the control on the left. And you can see the CLARIL SMK settles quite rapidly, and so it's a very nice product for that reason. It's one product that settles very well on its own. And this will be useful because you can treat with the CLARIL SMK, you can allow probably for 8 to 12 hours, and you'll have a very clear juice before you actually start the fermentation. You could additionally, if you wanted to even have a clearer juice with less residual activated carbon, you could use a little bit of bentonite and Plux Benton N, and that would further clarify this even more. So this is just an example of the settling speed advantage of using the CLARIL SMK over other activated carbons. So the CLARIL SMK does contain pea protein, which is still a product that is undergoing approval from the TTB. So if winemakers are interested in using CLARIL SMK, you can reach out to us and we can provide a template for you to request use from the TTB. It's a pretty easy process. You just have to fill out how many gallons you want to treat and submit the letter, and then the TTB will respond and give you access to using it. They've been very responsive to winemakers thus far and have given approvals where winemakers can still sell the wine after treating with CLARIL SMK. So we do recommend reaching out proactively to try and get this approval. In the event that there is a smoke event, you'll have access to using this tool. So we recommend reaching out for these approval letters if you're interested. Boosting fermentation aromas is another really great strategy that winemakers can use. We have 3 products that I'll recommend for white wines that have some potential smoke impact. The NutriFerm Arome Plus paired with the ES181 is a great combination for this purpose. The ES181 is a yeast that produces a lot of fermentation aromas. It's a very complex aroma producing yeast. And combined with the NutriFerm Arome Plus, it will produce even more aromas, lots of esters that can help with obscuring any of the smoke that is in the wine potentially. Paired with the Enartis Pro Blanco, the Pro Blanco helps to build mid-palate. It also helps to retain fermentation aromas because of the sulfur peptide component of that yeast derivative. So the combination of these three products can really help boost aromas and also help retain them. So we highly recommend giving this combination a try if you're going to be making any smoke-affected white wines. So in conclusion, white wines can be dramatically improved for smoke taint if you act before fermentation. Avoiding extraction from the skins is a distinct advantage for white wines, and we highly recommend winemakers take as many precautions as possible to avoid extraction from the skins. Settling rapidly will also help remove any solids that might have potentially smoke taint absorbed to them. CLARIL SMK is a new innovative product for finding white juices in wines, and we recommend reaching out to TTB and requesting use for the CLARIL SMK if you're interested in potentially using it in the next couple of vintages. Nutrients, yeast selection, and yeast polysaccharides can dramatically boost aromas to mask any potential volatile smoke compounds, and we recommend producing the most aromatic white wine as possible in this situation. So you can download our protocols for more details on how to handle smoke-affected fruit on the bottom of this video. There should be some links for you to be able to do that. Additionally, you can reach out to us and we're happy to walk you through any more information that you may have about handling smoke-affected fruit. We also have another video on smoke-affected red fruit that you can also watch to learn a little bit more about how to handle red fruit as well. Thanks so much for watching, and we hope that you have a great harvest 2021.